Hello everyone and welcome back to Lakeside, and this video is going to be about overhauling two locomotives. One is the Black 5, Hornby Black 5, and the other is the Bachmann Derby Lightweight. Both quite different in their issues which I have with them. Now the Black 5 was running absolutely fine the last time I used it, which was probably about 6 months ago or so. I went to get it out again and it was dead as a dodo. So I've already stripped this down to have a look at it, and the first thing I did was to check out the decoder, which is in the tender. I popped that decoder into another locomotive and that decoder was absolutely fine. It worked a treat. So it's obviously not the decoder. I've stripped the locomotive down, and I think what the issue is a duff motor. That's a technical term, that is duff, meaning it don't work, it's broke. So what I've done, I've gone onto the Hornby website and I've ordered a new motor, and that will be arriving Monday. Today is Saturday. So on Monday I shall be replacing the motor in this, but what I also want to do is to check out the running gear, because when I stripped this down last to find out what's wrong, the running gear was very tight. So that obviously is another issue which is not helping, and it could have been the fact that because this is running very tight, it's burnt the motor out. Now these are all assumptions at the moment. I don't know until I put or strip this down again and see why the running gear is tight, and then also placing the new motor in. I won't know if the assumptions are correct, but for the moment that's what I'm going by. The running gear got tight, hence it burnt the motor out. We shall see once the motor arrives and I'll strip this down. So that's the Black 5. The Derby Lightweight, a completely different issue in that it works, it goes fine, but it's hesitant, and I know the reason why. I'm sure of it, and that is the connection between the bogie and those horrible brass pickups which are inside, which is basically just two pins from the bogie resting on some brass plates, and they turn when the bogie turns, so it acts like that, still keeping in contact. Now what I did do many years ago, I modified it and I replaced those two contacts with some permanent wiring. Now I have a feeling that one of those, or maybe both, I don't know again until I strip it down, maybe a dry solder joint or something, so although it runs, it's very jerky and hesitant, so it could be making and breaking a joint. Again, I won't know that until I strip this down and have a look. So that's the basis of this video. Now I may have to break it down into two videos, one for this one and one for the Black 5. So I will probably do the Black 5 first, just to strip it down and see if I can get to the bottom of why this running gear is tight. And then I'll do another video showing how I hopefully overcome the hesitation on the Derby Lightweight. Okay, so let's take it from there. Speak to you later. Bye. Hello again. Right, so I'll put the Black 5 away for now until I get the motor on Monday, and then I can carry on with that. In the meantime, the noise you can hear, by the way, in the background is the dishwasher. I'm now going to carry on doing the Derby Lightweight. So the first thing to do is to take the chassis off from the main shell, and to do that I use these spatulas. which are nice and flexible and don't damage the paintwork or the plastic. So the first thing to do is to try and find the clips. There's one there, I think. Just ease that past. There we go. Let's try that one again. Not quite happy with that one. There we go, that's better. It's not just the outer shell you've got to get into on this, it's the plastic windows which have got the clips on. That should now enable me to lift this off, he says. Here we go. So we can place that to one side. And what I now need to do is to look for the wires going to the bogie and to this bogie too, because this is got connectors for the lighting. So we'll start off with the easy one first, which is the back one. Okay, well, luckily that's proven that there's one fault right there. As you can see, one of the terminals has come away from the wire. So that one needs to be soldered on, but first what I'm going to have to do is to, if I can, take off the seating so I can get to the wiring underneath. As you can see, I've put people in this one. Right, so that enables me now to, and I've used some really horrible wire here, so I should rewire both these. Alright, so that's that one, and now what I've got to do is the same this end, which means taking this off, which is the motor. And I think what I will do is lift this insulation tape up. that's just so that I can be sure that I'm not going to damage this decoder. Keep it clear. Just releasing the socket now. There we go. These two wires here, are going down to the speaker, which are fitted underneath here. So now I know that's safely out of the way, I can take this off. And that should reveal the socket, sorry, the bogie workings and the motor. And that screw releases the bogie. Will it lift? Yes, it will. Okay, so these here are the two wires soldered onto the bogie. That side looks all right. And that side looks all right. Yeah, they're firmly on there. So I know this front one is working okay. Right, so what I need to do now is to go and get the soldering iron, solder, etc., and some wire, so that I can repair this rear bogie up here and redo that. I didn't use very good wire on that at all. It's quite brittle. It needs to be soft, like I've done here, and flexible. This wire is not that particularly flexible. So over a period of time it's obviously work hardened with the bogies twisting and has come off. So lesson learned there. I don't know why I used that wire, to be honest, it's horrible. But there we go, I did. So I suppose what I could do is pop this all back. I'll pop it back temporarily, I think, for the moment. Tiny little cardon shaft in there to pop back. Screw there, come out. So with this, It's a case of lining up the shaft, the drive shaft, with the motor, and popping it back. Not the easiest jobs to do in this light. Bear with me while I do this. Okay, that's got it. And position it over there. Put this screw in. Now this screw is for the bogie to the motor housing. Let's check that shaft is still in position, which it is. So now I can pop the small screws back for mounting that to the chassis. Fiddly, but can be done. I never tighten up any screws until I've got them all in. Just allows for easier alignment that way. Just as long as you get them in initially. Good, right, now all 4 screws are in, I can go through and tighten them all up. Like so. Insert the decoder socket again, taking note of where number 1 pin was, which I did take note of as I was taking it out. Being careful not to bend the pins. there is a space here for a decoder to fit, or a speaker, but this decoder won't fit in there, but if a non-sound decoder was used, I'm sure it would fit. So we can now pop some tape back on, just to hold this back into position. And protect it. Now I know some people say don't cover the decoder up because it gets warm. And they strongly advise you not to cover the decoder. I prefer to stay safe and cover it. Your choice. Right, so I need to unsolder those cables, put some new ones on, and then the job's a good one, and then I'll take it up to Lakeside and see how it runs. Okay, so I'll get my soldering iron and I'll solder this. Okay, so I'll be back shortly. Hello again and welcome back. Right, so I've got my soldering iron down, and so I'm ready to now do these couple of wires. So I think the first thing I need to do is just take this other cable off, so that I can connect the cables onto the bogie first. Then I can feed the wires up through here and solder them onto the tabs. So first one off. Second one off. So now that bogie should just drop out. Yeah, there you go. So let's take that off. So now what I've done, I've cut two pieces of wire already. So I need to, I've stripped them, so I just need to tin them. One. Two. So they are now ready to go on. First one. Would help if I put it on straight. Two. So what would normally happen is that these two brass lugs coming up from the connectors either side, the brass lugs would go up through the chassis and touch the underside. I get it in focus. There. And touch the underside of those two brass clips. That never really has been a very successful idea. I've got two locos like this, and they are constantly giving me, or were giving me, troubles. And up till now, with this method, it seems to have solved the issue. So I will feed those up through there. And then, hopefully, I can then solder those straight onto the tabs. One there. And one there. The last time I did some soldering on video, I had a couple of people saying I needed more heat on the soldering iron because it was taking a while to melt the solder. No, it wasn't. That was me not hitting the solder properly. And like on that one, it took a lot longer than that one. That one was virtually instant. This one was just taking its time because I wasn't hitting the solder in the right position. I've got plenty of heat on this little tiny iron, and I much prefer these smaller irons than the big ones you seem to get. I haven't yet got a soldering station, which maybe I should invest in. So let's just see if that rotates okay, which it does. That's fine. So those two loops have given it enough to turn there without any issues. The seating will go over that, but it should be fine. So I think while I do that, I might as well put that bogie back into position. Assuming I can get the screw in the hole. Perfect. Okay, so the last thing to do really is to pop these ladies and gents back in again. Again, just do the screws up lightly just to hold them until all of them are in. Gives you a much better chance to locate them all. Right now that all three are in, I can tighten them up. Does it turn? Yep, absolutely fine. No problems there. Up and down movement is okay. So, with all that in position, I think I'm now ready to put the shell back on. And it's that way round. Now, because the clips are on the glass, you just got to take a little bit of care of how this goes on. And in this case, I've got to feed it. Got to feed those exhaust pipes at the back over the chassis first, like that. Yep. And then slide it forward a bit as we go down. Just ease the body away with your fingernails. Okay, I'm not happy about that. There's something not quite right up here. I know why. It's because of the thickness of that decoder. It's too much for the height of the coach, which I think is why I had that sticking out originally. So we'll try that again. Right, try again. As you know, you've got to be so careful with these things. They're very delicate. Tiny little bits of plastic can fly off at any time. So just take your time in putting these things back. That's better. Here we go. So that moves, that moves. Let's go and try it on the lakeside and see what happens. I'm sure that this will now, hopefully anyway, run better. So I will see you up on the lakeside. Okay, so bye for now. Hello again everyone, and right, we're obviously back up on lakeside, and I've got the Derby Lightweight now on platform 4. And the reason I've got it on platform 4 is that on my previous video I put up the other day, yesterday, one of my subscribers, Ed Herring, said that why don't I ever use the track at the back, this one here. And I thought, you know what, I don't really use it. And I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with it, it's fully functional, but I never tend to have trains running through that station, or that platform rather. So I thought I'd rectify that, and I've put the Derby Lightweight on the track there, as you can see, and when I first ran it, it was okay, but it was still not great. So I took it back down and I redid the wiring on the other bogie, the motor end, and now it's perfect. So let's start her off. I'm going to take her around. As you can see, it's running perfectly fine. There's no flickering lights like there was, there's no hesitation. Running just like it normally should do. So problem solved. I have got sound on this, but it's quite loud and probably quite annoying for some people, so I won't put the sound on. I do when I'm not filming, and I have it for my own benefit. So there she is coming through on platform 4. Thankfully the sun's gone in now, so it's not bleaching the camera out. And what I can do is, just bear with me, I'll bring it onto the other track, and this should bring it in on now platform 3. Hopefully, as long as I've changed the points correctly, that is, which I think I have. So now it should come in on platform 3. Yep, here we go. So we take it around once more, change the points. I'm trying to do the camera work and do the iPad at the same time. So now I'll bring her in and stop her on platform 4. Now, just out of interest, I will put the sound on temporarily, just to let you hear it, for those who haven't heard it before. Now it's got 2 engines in this. You will hear one start up, and then there will be about 10 seconds, and then you'll hear the other engine start up as well. Very shortly the other one will kick in. And there you go. So all works lovely jubbly. Really pleased with that. So that really, let's just turn the sound off. That is the end of part 1 of this video. So part 2 will be repairing, or hopefully trying to repair, the Black 5, which I will start on Monday. So I will pop this video up as part 1, and then part 2 will be maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday, depending on when the actual motor arrives. But we'll see how we go on that. But hopefully Monday / Tuesday. Okay, so bye for now. Thank you for watching, and I hope that was of interest to you. So bye for now. Bye.